Lando Norris should know better when it comes to battling Max Verstappen, according to Dr. Helmut Marko. The outspoken Red Bull figure claims that the McLaren star shouldn't have been caught off guard by the Dutchman's tactics. But recent data shows that Lando was right all along. Have a look and let me know what you think. The United States Grand Prix witnessed yet another showdown between the two title contenders at the Circuit of the Americas, where Verstappen's racecraft forced Norris off the track, ultimately leading to a 5-second penalty for the British driver, dropping him behind Verstappen by the race's end. As the race entered its final laps, Norris, on fresher tyres, was closing in on Verstappen, aiming to narrow the gap in the Drivers' Championship after Verstappen had extended his lead with a sprint race victory the day before. Despite his efforts, Verstappen's defensive driving was immaculate, positioning his car perfectly to deny Norris any opportunity to pass down the back straight. Norris eventually made a move but found himself forced wide by Verstappen, who reached the apex of the corner first, guiding Norris off the track while staying within the limits himself. The result was Norris overtaking off-track, and without giving the position back, he was handed a 5-second penalty that saw him slip behind Verstappen. This isn't the first time Verstappen has used such a technique in defence, and Marko expressed surprise that Norris allowed the 3-time world champion to outmaneuver him once again. In a conversation with Speedweek, he said, "Max defended with everything he had. For any opponent of Max, it is clear that he is not a novice. He is one of the most controlled, but also one of the hardest racers. Lando Norris should know that. Moreover, Norris has also been off the track several times. You're not allowed to overtake off track, so his Norris's punishment was justified." But was the FIA's decision the right one? Recent data is adding doubt to the ruling. The FIA said that Max Verstappen was the defending car during his battle with Lando Norris, as he was ahead at the apex, giving him the right to maintain his position on the track. This meant Norris, as the attacking driver, breached track limits by overtaking on the outside, leading to his 5-second penalty. But the controversy in the Verstappen-Norris situation stems from the question of whether Verstappen was truly the defending driver and Norris the attacker. The FIA's rules don't explicitly address overtaking on a straight, only distinguishing between inside or outside moves when approaching a corner. This ambiguity is what has sparked debate over whether the penalty was correctly applied in this case. This is where the grey area of the regulations becomes clear, making the determination of who is the attacking or defending driver before reaching the braking zone highly subjective in the fast-paced environment of a Grand Prix. If we analyse the live footage and telemetry, a new dilemma emerges, one that the FIA should have examined more closely before issuing the penalty to Norris. Was Norris already ahead of Verstappen before the incident at turn 12, and therefore the defending driver? According to the data, yes. Norris had overtaken Verstappen metres before turn 12, meaning Verstappen should have been considered the attacking driver at that point. The telemetry confirms this, showing that Norris had the position, but the FIA ruled otherwise. Verstappen's advantage at the apex came from his strategic decision to delay his braking, a move that effectively forced Norris to run wide and exceed track limits. It was a brilliantly executed tactic by the Dutchman, who once again showcased his racecraft by holding off a faster car for over 10 laps. But according to the FIA F1 driving standard guidelines, Verstappen may have violated a crucial rule by delaying his braking in an attempt to maintain his position at the apex of turn 12. While Norris clearly exceeded track limits due to Verstappen's manoeuvre, the Red Bull driver also failed to keep all 4 wheels of his RB20 within the white lines. This isn't the first time Verstappen has employed such a tactic. He is well aware of the regulations and adept at leveraging them to his advantage, often leaving his rivals scrambling in the wake of his cunning strategies. It's unlikely that the FIA reverses their decision regarding the incident, so the best course of action for McLaren is to focus on Mexico, a race where even Red Bull motorsport advisor Helmut Marko, a man who has overrated his own team quite a few times, thinks they will struggle. Amid a mid-season performance slump, the reigning champions put in a lot of effort during the 3-week break between Singapore and Austin, emerging stronger at the United States Grand Prix. Max Verstappen not only claimed victory, but also managed to extend his championship lead over rival Lando Norris. Dr. Helmut Marko told The Telegraph, "Max is a bit like a squirrel picking up every nut he sees lying around. He has the experience for that, and so do we as a team. But it will be more difficult for us there in Mexico." George Russell in the Mercedes should not be underestimated, as he had some insane pace in Texas. For Mexico, I see a 4-way battle between Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren and us. If the teams take turns at winning now, it plays into our hands. Texas was a bit much for the heart and pulse rate. I just hope that not every race goes like that. In a statement to Motorsport magazine a few days ago, Helmut Marko took a personal swipe at Lando Norris, claiming the young driver has some mental weaknesses compared to Max Verstappen. Now, both media and key figures are criticising Marko's remarks as harsher than any heat-of-the-moment outburst from a driver. While Marko's exact reference remains unclear, his comments have sparked a wave of reactions from fans and pundits alike, with many in the McLaren camp particularly vocal in their disapproval. During a press conference ahead of the US Grand Prix, McLaren Racing CEO Zak Brown didn't hold back, slamming Helmut Marko's recent remarks. Brown argued that Marko's comments set Formula One back 10 to 20 years, especially at a time when the sport is making strides in recognising the impact of high-stress environments on mental health. While talking to Autosport, he said, "I read Helmut's comments, which I thought were disappointing but not surprising. Lando has been kind of an ambassador for mental health. Toto Wolff has spoken about mental health, so I think it's a serious issue that we've tried to talk about and bring to the forefront. Poking at that situation I think is pretty inappropriate and kind of sets us back 10 to 20 years. It's all fun and games in how some people go racing and what tactics they use from a sporting perspective, but I thought that one was in pretty poor taste." McLaren team principal Andrea Stella has now weighed in on the controversy while speaking to the media. Drawing from his extensive experience working with numerous drivers over his motorsport career, Stella offered his perspective on the situation, adding a seasoned voice to the ongoing discussion surrounding Helmut Marko's remarks. "First of all, just because you make reference to myself having worked with great drivers, I can say that each driver was very, very different, but all incredibly exceptional. Superb from a driving point of view, but very different from an emotional point of view of life, the way they were using their spare time, the way in which they were aggressive in the car. Very different." To bolster his argument, Stella referenced none other than Michael Schumacher, widely regarded as one of Formula One's greatest. He reminded fans and media alike that even the seven-time world champion faced moments of doubt throughout his illustrious career, underscoring the complexity and pressures all drivers encounter, no matter how legendary they become. Michael Schumacher was, he appeared to be very self-confident, but actually his confidence came from working with the team, Stella explained. Himself, sometimes he wasn't very confident at all. The confidence was coming through the work ethics, the work that you put into what you're doing. Therefore, you're doing a good job. You see the result. You gain your confidence. And we are talking about Michael Schumacher, right? According to Stella, Marko's comments are a missed opportunity to take a step in the right direction. The missed opportunity is that rather than reinforcing the support to the work that has happened over the last couple of decades, above all the last decade, in the openness around talking of mental health issues, they are so important. I was actually proud of what F1 have been able to do, what the drivers have been able to do, or sports people when they talk about that. Lando has been an ambassador of talking openly that sometimes it's okay not to be okay, and not necessarily about this being about him, but the topic. Marko's remarks were not only harmful but also undermined the progress that so many within Formula One have worked tirelessly to achieve. Stella emphasised that such comments set a dangerous precedent, contradicting the efforts to foster a healthier, more supportive environment in the sport. Then you hear what Helmut said, and it's like you destroy in a comment the work of 20 years, Stella said. For me, this is much more severe in terms of what a member of the F1 community has said than one bad word in the wrong place. A bit of a controversial question for you. Are McLaren pressing this particular issue because they believe in what they stand for, or because they see this as an opportunity to play mind games with Red Bull? Tell me what you think in the comments section down below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thanks for watching.